Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Lifting, Life, and Everything in Between. I'm Kevin, this is Billy,
Hi.
and what are we talking about today?
I've got a question for you today. So, what time of the day is the best time to train?
Oh, that's a hard question. For me personally, right now, it's in between my work schedule. It's around my work schedule. If you asked me 3 years ago, first thing in the crack at dawn in the morning. If you asked me 8 years ago, it'll be in the crack of dawn, but at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
How would yourself? How would you answer that question?
Okay, well, we train together, so we've gone through the stages of training in the morning, training at night, training at midnight together. Right now, gym is the second thing I do after I wake. So when I wake, I generally have 1 to 2 hours to myself and to do some top priority tasks. And then after that, I head to the gym. And that works well for me. In the past, I have done the 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. gym sessions, and that works pretty well too. A lot of people get a runner's high after working out. They feel energized, they feel great. And for those kind of people, working out in the morning works best for them because then they can use that energy for something else. Whereas for me, I'm sure you've seen it, I yawn a lot in the gym, at least I used to, and it generally puts me to sleep. And I think in the past, working out right before bed was the best way to go for me. But that's a little bit different now.
Yeah, fair enough. So let's talk about our schedule right now.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I wake up, so if you guys don't know, I'm a personal trainer. My first client's always at 5 a.m. So I wake up at 3:30. What I do in that 1.5 hour is I do some life admin stuff in terms of just cooking my breakfast, eating it, meditating, visualizing my day, writing down my daily tasks, and then it's off to work and fit in a bit of reading when I can. Generally, I have clients up until 9, sometimes 10, latest is 11. Then I just smack the gym. So after that solid block of work, I just want to expend some energy, have some me time. So that's how it works for me lately. Before, getting it done first thing in the morning was great just because I started the day off on a high. I got one of the hardest bit of the day, physically taxing bit of the day out of the way straight off the bat, and it made me feel as though I can attack the rest of the day with a great level of confidence.
Yeah.
As training at night goes, I was never really much of a fan of it, just because of the amount of people, the sheer amount of people that was there. It was just off-putting.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
So I didn't like peak hour training. That was not for me. Especially in the past when I had a lot more anxiety about approaching people, asking people to share equipment, things like that. Now I'm a lot more open to it, and I'm totally comfortable asking someone if I can share an equipment with them, despite COVID conditions. There are just some equipment that cannot be shared. So for example, a squat rack or a cage. You can't squat with a stranger, but I am willing to use the leg extension machine with a stranger, for example.
Yeah, so you're willing to work in between people.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough. Let me question this another way then. So, with your newfound confidence in just approaching people and asking to jump in, all that, how do you feel working around so many people though? Like, working in an environment where it's just crowded, you're packed like sardines. How do you feel about
that's
that?
the thing. So in an empty gym, you have I have the freedom to use all the benches. After say I'm doing dumbbell bench press, after I finish, I can go to the bench next to it and just relax while I wait for you to do your set. In a packed gym, that's not possible. I have to stand in a out of the way area, and for a chest day that's not too bad, but for a leg day or a deadlift session, I want to sit down and recover.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think I have much of an issue of sitting down and resting, but I do like my space.
Yeah.
So I do like to roam around a bit in a certain square amount of area after my set, just to relax, decompress, and get mentally prepare myself for the next set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't work too well in crowded areas, so hence that's why at night time, that would be my least favorite time to go.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk about training at 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Okay,
or
so
2 a.m.
first of all, why did we do that? We were just starting to see gains, and I really wanted to just see what it was like to train topless and to see the muscle activation. Obviously, that's not socially acceptable. Technically, you shouldn't be doing that any time of the gym, but any time of the day. But if you were to break the rules and to do that after midnight is kind of the time to do it. So that's why we tried the 1 a.m., the 2 a.m. sessions, and a lot of the times didn't have the confidence to take our clothes off despite the gym being pretty empty. But I think there were a few sessions where we did chuck the flex a few times as well in the mirror, and yeah, it was a nice experience to have.
Yeah, I definitely do remember those days. Although I wouldn't say that, that might have been a motive, although I wouldn't say that would have been my primary driver.
What do you reckon?
To be fair, it's only been recently, there were periods of times when we didn't train together, and even when we didn't, I remember first grabbing my license, and that was when I was training by myself, and I would be going at those times.
Yeah.
And the main reason I would be going at these graveyard times, so to speak, was because I was just a social deviant. My actions were just not socially acceptable. I was anti-social. So my sleep schedule was completely out of whack. I would go to sleep after the gym, maybe at 6 a.m. in the morning, after I ate, chilled, watched YouTube, played games, whatnot. Wake up at 3 p.m, midday. My actions were just not, I wasn't providing society with any value. So by going at that, and that was the only time I could go, my life revolved around the gym. I was a gym rat.
Still
going at, yeah, still am, but
yeah.
contributing a bit more to society, I hope. But going at 2 a.m, I do remember it being very peaceful. You didn't have to wait on any equipment. You didn't give a bit of grunt here and there.
Oh yeah, the noise you're allowed to make.
Yeah, the noise you're allowed to make. You just didn't have to wait. You felt as though the feeling I got from it was the gym was yours.
It was private.
It was, I owned it. Like, I can do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I still treated the equipment with respect, because that's what you do when you own something. But that power that endowed me going at that time was, I owned the place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to treat that place with respect. So that was probably my reason of going at those graveyard times.
Yeah, and just a quick disclaimer, like when we were doing things like that, we were still using towels, trying to maintain the equipment as hygienically as possible.
Yeah, correct. Well, you gotta say that in this environment, this COVID environment.
Yeah.
Anyways, so getting back to it, so out of those time slots, what was the most enjoyable? Or what would you do? There's no responsibilities, yeah? What time slot would you go to?
I might be a little different to most people, but I found that I was at my strongest and I was able to push the hardest if I go right after I wake, and that's when I force myself to wake up early in the morning. So when I'm still kind of groggy, not thinking too hard, I don't have the mental capacity to reason with myself, that's when I am at my strongest. So that's probably the best time for me to train.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got to agree with you in terms of the time period that you chose. First thing in the morning, maybe an hour after I still do my life admin stuff, like eat, journal and plan out my day. That would be the best time to go.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, it empowered me to conquer the day. And it just, you got the hardest part out of your day, you know?
Yeah.
And if that's the hardest part of your day, how easy is the rest of your day? Like, you look forward to the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And another side, I guess pseudo positive, is you force your day to be longer.
Yeah, just because you're waking up earlier.
Yeah, you just make so much out of your time.
Yeah. And this is coming from, like, I guess, two gamer teenagers that used to pull all-nighters. So we can stay up late. That's something we enjoy doing, and it wasn't productive. It wasn't a good way to live.
It was antisocial. Like I said before, I was providing no value whatsoever to society. Looking back, I do regret those experiences. Well, I don't regret having those experiences, but I regret how long it carried on for.
Right. Yeah.
Alright, so another way to, I guess, space your training is around your meals. People generally find, and myself included, that I was at my strongest at night.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of food that I had in me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, if I was training at 6 p.m., 8 p.m., I would have 3 to 4 meals deep. And with that extra energy, so to speak, I would be able to push more.
Yeah. That is the theory, and that is something that we believed in for a long time. But now I'm just thinking, we don't take into account the waking hours that we spend, at work, and just participating in other activities that do drain our energy. Definitely notice the energy you get from your food, because if you're training right after you wake, that's a period of 8 to 10 hours that you've had
Fasted.
you're fasting, and that can affect your strength.
Yeah, that's a good point. The one you brought up where you're not accounting the waking hours and the energy expended during those waking hours.
Yeah.
However, from my experiences, I was the strongest once I was 3 meals deep.
Yeah.
However, that was a couple of years back, and that's what I remember briefly. Right now, I can't imagine myself training at that time unless my circumstances changes.
Yeah. The fact that when you sleep, your brain releases more growth hormone, and to go to sleep right after you train, there's a good chance that growth hormone will be utilized more effectively.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Once we're resting, sedated, so to speak, that's when our growth hormone is released. It increases recovery of the muscle tears, just providing growth.
Yeah.
Named growth hormone. So just a quick disclaimer, after we train, I eat, and just because of how my schedule is currently, I usually have clients in the afternoon again, so I go for a quick nap. So I feel as though I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, and that's just this guy. So to quickly explain the personal trainer lifestyle, generally the clients have a 9 to 5 work hour, and so personal trainers will train outside of those hours, which means 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and also 5 p.m. onwards up until, I don't know, 7, 8 p.m. Some personal trainers also do lunch shifts, and that is generally how they work. So it's broken up. It's not all in one chunk.
Yeah, so just to give a brief synopsis of my day, my working day, sorry. Usually it's 5 to, let's say, 10. I train during that time, rest, do the rest of my tasks in that time before my afternoon block, which generally starts around 3, maybe 4, and that goes on until 7, latest.
Yeah.
But I don't do the lunchtime hours. I could if I really wanted to, but I value my time too much.
Yeah. You don't want to break it up that much.
No. So, right back to the question at hand and this topic, what time is the best time to train, Billy?
It's whatever time works to your schedule, and doesn't interfere with, like, doesn't interrupt the rest of your day. If, for example, you don't work a 9 to 5 and you have a 3-hour gap in between your shifts, why not use that time to train?
Totally right. Make the most of your time.
Yeah. If, for example, you have plenty of time throughout the day, say you're perhaps a student on school holidays or uni break, and one of the things that you find challenging is to go to the gym, make it the first thing you do in the morning. Just get it out of the way so that you don't have to torment yourself thinking about, oh, can I convince myself to go throughout the whole day?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be with a uni student. You nailed it on the top of your head. Yeah, with anyone, like anyone starting out. If you're dreading it but you want it, make it happen by making it your top priority, getting that out of the way.
Yeah.
Set the tone for the rest of the day. So just a final note on this, guys. There is no right or wrong time to train. It's whenever you can. However, I do suggest trying to make it as stable as possible in terms of making it similar times. Yeah, make it the same time. Why? Because it becomes a routine. Routines become habits. And you build on those small habits, and all of a sudden, it's part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Make the time you go, guys, the best time that you guys can adhere to for the longest, because consistency is key, and you guys will notice growth.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's enough from us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps us grow that much and it helps that YouTube algorithm. Thank you.